Welcome back to Wittenberg Academy's Latin 3 course. We're ready for lesson 69 on page 131. The relative pronoun. The relative pronoun qui, who, as in English, is used in a clause and refers to some word in the main sentence called the antecedent. So the paradigm here, qui, cuius, cui, quem, quo, masculine singular, and then in the plural, qui, quorum, quibus, quos, quibus. So very similar to, especially in the plural, exactly similar to the third declension, but that kind of second declension, accusative ending, it's its own paradigm. Rather easy to learn, but one that must be learned. The feminine, quae, cuius, cui, quam, qua, quae, quorum, quibus, quos, quibus, and in the neuter, quod, cuius, cui, quod, quo, quae, quorum, quibus, quae, quibus. The rule: a relative pronoun agrees with its antecedent in gender, number, and person, but in case, the case depends upon the use in its own clause. So, urbs quam vides Roma est. The city which you see is Rome. Quam there is in the accusative case, even though it refers to Roma and urbs, which are in the nominative case, because in its own clause, quam needs to be accusative, because that's what you're looking at. So the city which you see is Rome. If we looked at the translation of the various cases, qui in the nominative, quem in the accusative, that's very obvious. That's going to be who and which, or which and which. The genitive would be like of who, that is whose. The dative would be to whom, and the accusative would be whom, and the ablative would be from whom or with whom, and so forth. All right, section 4, quicumque and uter. The relative quicumque, whoever, is declined like qui, cumque, remaining unchanged throughout. For the declension of uter, utra, utrum, whichever, of two, which is sometimes used as the relative, that'll be in section 73. Our vocabulary: appello, I speak, I call, and gubernator, the governor or ruler. All right. As usual, I'll go through these translation sentences on page 132. And obviously, very straightforward lesson here. Simply need to make your charts and memorize your paradigm for qui, quae, quod. And then also just two vocabulary words to add, and both of them happen to be cognates. So here's sentence 1. Homo qui sua mano scribit, non multas litteras scribit. Homo qui sua mano scribit, non multas litteras scribit. The man who with his own hand writes, the man who writes with his own hand, non multas litteras scribit, will not write many letters. So that's scribet, notice his future. Will not write many letters. Sentence 2. Multas arbores habemus, quorum fructus nobis sunt grati. Multas arbores habemus, quorum fructus nobis sunt grati. So now we can really get into separating clauses. So now when we look, when we're looking for the verb, we're not looking for the verb in the sentence. We're looking for the verb in each clause. And we know that a relative pronoun always begins a clause. So the first clause here is multas arbores habemus, because the next word, quorum, is a relative pronoun, so we know that begins a clause. So the first verb is habemus. We have, it has nothing in the nominative to go with it, but it has an object, something in the accusative. Multas arbores. We have many trees. Quorum, genitive, plural, feminine. And so that's feminine, and that's referring back to arbores. We have many trees, of whom, or whose. We have many trees whose fruits sunt grati are free nobis for us. We have many trees whose fruits are ours for free, is what we would say in English. Are free for us, is what they would say in Latin. Sentence 3. Quicum qua erit gubernator civitatis, appalabatur rex a nobis. Quicum qua erit gubernator civitatis, appalabatur rex a nobis. So in the first clause, and again here you're looking for the comma to help you out to identify the clause. So in the first clause, the verb is erit, and the nominative that goes with it is quicum qua. So here you have the relative clause at the beginning of the sentence, which can happen in English as well. So whoever will be the governor of the city will be called, now we're in the second clause, appalabatur, will be called king a nobis by us. Whoever will be the city's governor will be called king by us. Sentence 4. Legatus cum legionibus et ducibus qui iter cognoverent ad montem venet. Legatus cum legionibus et ducibus qui iter cognoverent ad montem venet. So, where do the clauses divide? Right? So we're looking for a verb in the first clause before the comma. Right? And so this one is strange, right? Because look at that. In our first clause, what we think is our first clause, I see cognoverent, but that doesn't go with legatus. Legatus goes all the way down with venet. Well, what's happening? Well, our qui, you see our qui is right there in the middle. Qui iter cognoverent. That relative is right in the middle. And we have another thing that begins a clause, cum. Cum, that preposition, that's going to begin a prepositional phrase or a prepositional clause. So what do we have here? The legate, we'll just take this in order and see how it comes together. The legate, that is, or the lieutenant, with the legions and the colonels, the leaders of the different divisions. So the lieutenant with the legions and the colonels who had known the road. So what does qui refer to? That refers to legionibus and ducibus, or the guides maybe. And so it refers to ducibus, with the guides who knew the road. So that's all part of that cum clause. That relative clause is under the cum clause. The legate, that's the subject of the main verb, which is way at the end, venet. The legate, with the legions and the guides who had known the road, who knew the road, who were familiar with the road, went to the mountain. So the legate went to the mountain with the legions and the guides who knew the road. Sentence 5. We destine, barbaros quibus res publica agros dedit. We destine barbaros quibus res publica agros dedit. So here, our verb is fronted. Did you see, right, or did you see the barbarians? Quibus. So that's going to be ablative or dative in form, right? So what is it? Did you see the barbarians? Now I'm looking for a verb. Looking for another verb. Did it. Third person singular. Is there something that's going to go with that? Yes. There's another nominative. Res publica. So now it starts to kind of fall together. Did you not see the barbarians to whom the Republic gave or had given fields? Did you not see the barbarians to whom the Republic had given fields? So now you can see that now that we have relative clauses, this greatly expands the complexity of our sentences and how they all fit together. Now sentence 6. Huelamna hodie videbus, cujus libros heri envia inveniste. Fuelamne hodie videvis, cujus libros heri in via inveniste. So the first clause goes up to the cujus. So videvis is your verb, right? Today, hodie. Today will you see the girl? Cujus, whose books? Harry, yesterday, whose books yesterday in Weniste you found in the road. Will you see the girl today, whose books you found in the road yesterday? Okay, so these were maybe a little trickier with our new clauses, but that's how we'll be able to build more complicated sentences now with relative clauses. So learn your paradigm, maybe go back and check over those sentences again, and then you'll be ready to proceed.